Oh, Brent Musburger in the building right now. He'd say, you are looking live at Lincoln Financial Field, the home of the Philadelphia Eagles, taking on the Dallas Cowboys in an NFC East tussle. Clouds tonight, 75-degree temperatures, light chance of precipitation, wind speeds under 10 miles an hour, a perfect night in Philadelphia here for the returning Super Bowl champions to take on the Dallas Cowboys. Joe, it just feels good to say that, doesn't it?
It feels amazing to say that football is now back.
Yeah.
Thursdays will never be the same. Sundays will never be the same. In fact,
Yeah.
from here on out, Donnie, when it comes to football, nothing will be the same for the next 5 months.
No, it won't. So let's set the table for the game tonight, people. If you've been watching all summer long, we've been previewing this game ad nauseum, talking about it. When is it going to get here? When is the NFL going to kick off? Well, tonight is the night, people. And the Philadelphia Eagles are favorites. About 2 weeks ago, -6.5 price point here. Now, game night, -8.5 as a favorite for the Philadelphia Eagles. The total in this game, Joe, up from 46.5 to 47.5. Both of these teams coming in primarily healthy, which is what you love to see. That vaunted Philadelphia Eagles offense. Offensive line will be there. Tight end will be there. Wide receivers will be there. Running back will be there. Quarterback will be there. And the same thing with the Dallas Cowboys, who are a little bit banged up in the secondary in the preseason. Look like all their starters will be there, minus Micah Parsons, who was traded to the Green Bay Packers. So let's start here with the line move, Joe. 6.5 to 8.5. Do we agree with that? Or is the public just saying, wait a second, Parsons isn't there, they can't win? Or, wait, the Philadelphia Eagles are just that good and that much better than the Dallas Cowboys?
No, it's gotten out of control, Donnie. We talked about this yesterday as we started to see it creep up. And, you get this closer to game time, usually within 24 hours of the game, right? We usually see the public come running in and hammering one side or the other. And in this case, yeah, I mean, we're looking at a Philadelphia barrage of money coming in to take it from, and it was prior to the Parsons trade, Donnie. It was 6.5, right? So it did creep under a touchdown, and then all of a sudden after that, it has just been a steady stream of Philadelphia money. This is a huge move, Donnie, to cross over 7 and get to 8.5 points, and really nothing has changed over the last week. A linebacker is not going to make that big a difference here in the spread. This is just the public hammering the champs because they believe Jerry has lost his mind.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, too, because you look at the total, right? 46.5 up to 47.5. And it does make some sense because you have two really good quarterbacks and two offenses that should be able to move the football. My question, like with the Philadelphia Eagles, isn't how's the offense going to do? I'm expecting great things out of Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and, Smith and Brown at wide receiver and that offensive line, which now you don't have to go against one of the most feared pass rushers in the NFL, Micah Parsons. I think the Eagles move the football, but the question is going to be is how effective can the Dallas Cowboys move the football against Vic Fangio's defense? Now, in the past, whenever you've seen Dak Prescott go up against the Philadelphia Eagles in the regular season, he's been a really good quarterback, and it's not as if he doesn't have weapons. The running game, I don't like all that much for the Cowboys at all, but if you're talking about Dak Prescott here, and you're lining up with CeeDee Lamb on one side and George Pickens on the other, you should be able to move the football. And you're right, Joe. It's opening day. Like, if this game was in, week number 4, okay, I know exactly who's going to be playing in this game, exactly how they've been doing. Are they going to be, on the up-tempo, back-tempo, playing well, not playing well? We don't know because these guys haven't taken a lot of snaps over the summer in game situations. Now you show up on opening day, which tends to be sometimes a little bit sloppy. So if we are looking from the total perspective, Joe, 46.5 to 47.5, I'm not worried about the offenses. I think there's a legitimate chance that we could get close to 50 points tonight.
The other problem we have here, though, Donnie, is that, and that's why none of this makes sense, this big line move up and over a key number of 7 in the NFL, is that the total had already been bet up. It was 46.5. It's been 47.5 now for a while. My question is, well, how does the total not correlate to the move to 8.5? Because now you're saying at this point, it should either go, hey, this is blowout city, that according to the spread, the market thinks that the Eagles are going to run away with this game. And that means Dallas probably not going to contribute a lot. That's why it hasn't moved down or it has stayed the same. But if this is a crazy shootout and you still expect them to win by more than 8.5, how is this total not moving up right now?
Yeah, and again, we'll see because there is a little bit of drizzle in the forecast. But again, you don't worry about that in the NFL. Like the what you
Yeah.
worry about is, okay, it's going to be a blinding rainstorm that you would get. Like, let's just say you
Or
would get in South
wind.
Florida early in September, or 50-mile-an-hour winds. Like, hey, man, you can't punt, kick field goals, and we're just going to be trying to pooch punt down the field at times. And we can't play offense in the first and third quarter because we don't have the wind at our back. That's not going to be the question. I just want to see how over the course of a game, because even though, Joe, it's not South Florida, as we have to say, like on a Sunday afternoon at 1 o'clock, like, oh my God, we're not used to this heat and humidity for 80 plays. It's still going to be heat and humidity. And for guys that have worked out hard in practice, it's completely different, Joe, as you know, to a game. Once you get in this game tonight, 75-degree temperatures, by the end of the first quarter, you're going to feel like you played an entire 17-game schedule because your body's not used to the contact and also the excitement and all the evolutions that you're going through in a game. Now, I do like the Philadelphia Eagles defense, quality defensive line, quality secondary, but at the same time, we just don't know how they're going to react. Some missing pieces and different pieces for what the Philadelphia Eagles had last year. But don't we agree, though? It just seems like it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. If Jalen Hurts plays well, their offense is much better than the Dallas Cowboys. But if Dak Prescott finds some things, and you're talking about a new head coach that's going to be calling the plays, some different wrinkles in the formations for the Dallas Cowboys could help them on offense.
Well, yeah, but again, Schottenheimer has been there, so it's not like he wasn't part of this offense with Dak and company to begin with. But I think listen, he's there. There's a lot of newness going on in Dallas right now, including George Pickens. But if we compare it to just what we know about them a year ago, this is a different Cowboys offense, guys. Everybody is healthy. You know, Dak wasn't there last year. Pickens wasn't there. Jake Ferguson got hurt early on in the year, missed half the games. There is a lot different about this Cowboys offense than it was a year ago. There are more weapons now healthy than we have seen in a while with the Dallas Cowboys.
No more Mike McCarthy there trying to run plays through. Schotty's going to get that chance to do it all by himself in prime time tonight in Philadelphia. So we set the game table, right? You know the spread, you know the total, you know the general thoughts, but let's get into some of those prop numbers that are so much fun to take a look at and some advantages that we might have. It's the early line on the Sports Grid Network. We're breaking down the NFL, and it feels good. Banner night in Philadelphia. Philadelphia's going to drop another banner. 1995, the last banner dropped in Dallas. 99.9% of Dallas fans have never even seen a Super Bowl run for the Dallas Cowboys because they never have Super Bowl runs. But the Philadelphia Eagles have made a habit since 2017 of getting to 3 Super Bowls and winning 2 of those Super Bowls. So as we start to kick off tonight, I love the props. They're back in our lives. Hey, Joe, what's the side? What's the total? Who are they playing week number 3? Out the window. Let's take a look at the quarterback matchup tonight between Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott. Passing yards prop. Looking at some of the live updated numbers, Jalen Hurts 212.5. Dak Prescott 248.5. They do correlate in that respect. Why? Because the Eagles have a dominant running game and the best back in football in Saquon Barkley and a mobile quarterback in Jalen Hurts. If you are Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, you're not necessarily looking to rely on the running game tonight. And if you are 8.5-point dogs, you're probably going to be passing more than the team with the lead and the Philadelphia Eagles. If you look at some of those statistics, which also, Joe, include passing touchdowns, both quarterbacks at plus money, over 1.5 for Jalen Hurts, plus 120 price, and looking at Dak Prescott over 1.5 at a plus 112 price. If we're looking at quarterbacks tonight, prop-wise, and even, Joe, you can throw in a rushing touchdown for a quarterback. Where are you going tonight in the quarterback marketplace?
Well, I think you have to be careful, Donnie, with, week 1, here we go, first game, Cowboys and Eagles, 2 teams that, certainly have the weapons in order to throw up a whole lot of points. But you also, don't bet against yourself, Donnie, right? If you have a bet or a side here, correlate your prop bets to what it is that you think is going to happen and who's going to win or cover this game. If we think this is an over, Donnie, then I think the best way to approach this is if you think Dallas is going to be playing from behind, that means Dak Prescott is going to be throwing more often than not, right? If you can't run on Philadelphia and all of a sudden you're playing from behind, then I think passing attempts, I think yards for Dak Prescott, I think all of that is in play here. I totally anticipate Dak having to drop back and throw more than what Jalen Hurts is going to have to do in this game.
And you take a look now at the running back position. Certainly going to be dominated by the Philadelphia Eagles because their running game much better than the Dallas Cowboys. Saquon Barkley, 93.5 rushing yards for him. Starting running back expected for the Dallas Cowboys, Javonte Williams, only 34.5. The quarterback rushing yards, Joe. Jalen Hurts, 40.5 rushing yards. And Dak Prescott, 7.5 rushing yards. If we're looking at the running back market for me, of course you're expecting Saquon Barkley to get 15 to 20 touches. And if the Eagles are winning, that's extra carries in the fourth quarter. But I always love like game 1, game 2, game 3, where everybody's healthy, including the quarterbacks. Maybe we get spry out there, but are you looking more from an Eagles perspective on the running backs and the running game, or Dallas maybe sneaks with some of those low numbers?
Yeah, I think Dallas is the way to look in the prop betting market here, simply because they are going to have to score in order to upend the Eagles here, right? If they are going to stay within this, they are going to, A, have to try to get off the field as best as possible, but B, they are going to have to try and take their shots against this defense, because the defense of the Eagles currently right now, the biggest question marks are in the secondary. So they got a lot of young players there. They did have some injuries. So the question is, are they going to be able to take advantage of it with Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and even Kevontae Turbin for that matter? Can they go ahead and take advantage of what might be a soft spot right now of the Eagles? I think they got to try, Donnie. So I think the props, certainly from that perspective, should be focused on Dallas tonight.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb, 71.5, top dog on the Dallas Cowboys, top dog on the Philadelphia Eagles. It's A.J. Brown at 69.5. The two second fiddles here, who are very good second fiddles. George Pickens, 55.5, followed by Devonta Smith at 53.5. I always like to go down the board, right? Everybody's like, oh, CeeDee Lamb should have a big night, and he should. A.J. Brown should have a big night, and he should. Those are the expectations. But I always like those secondary and third options. Like Jahan Dotson was anywhere between 5.5 now to 7.5 for his receiving prop. Is he usually in the offense? Not necessarily. Had a couple catches against Green Bay, had a couple catches in the Super Bowl last year against Kansas City. Word coming out of Philadelphia, he's had a very good training camp. All you're looking is for one target from 7 to 8 to 9 yards, and you cash in that ticket. There's a lot of fun ways to go, but you're looking primarily, Joe, top of the standings there, CD getting his?
Well, I mean, that you bring up a great point, though, Donnie, right? I mean, there's the market is going to be totally overvalued with CeeDee Lamb and Pickens. It's certainly in the TD market, right? Well, what about Kevontae Turbin? What about that third guy down the list, right? What about Jake Ferguson? What about those guys? I wouldn't focus on CeeDee Lamb and Pickens for this game.
Value, and more value down the list you go here. I can't believe it. We're finally breaking down a live football game tonight, 8:15 p.m. Eastern from Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. And in this show, we ain't done with this game. We'll get back to it here. Let's go around the NFL for more news and notes from yesterday. Oh, the red zone. People be in the red zone tonight, Joe. Hey, somebody's going to get inside the 29. By the way, if nobody gets in the red zone tonight, come on now. You can't have that in the NFL. Stop. It's not week 1, week 0 in college football where the offenses aren't ready. These are paid professional athletes that we know are at the top of their game, so points are expected tonight. There is no red zone, Joe, on a Thursday night. The red zone is on Sunday afternoons, and that's our topic of conversation because we don't like change as a society. And even if the change is good, we still might like, I don't know about that. Like, you don't like changes on, television shows and, hey, wait, I was watching Jaws 1 and Jaws 2. Was there different actors there? I don't like this anymore, even if the movie is good at that point. We're talking about the red zone here and adding commercials, which Joe is right to start the show. There have always been commercials, but if you just reiterate there's going to be a little bit more commercials, people lose their mind. Now, hear us out on this, because this is the part that's funny, right? You see some of the, Twitter clips and people making GIFs of, all right, Josh Allen's about to score a touchdown. Then all you hear is whopper, 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 and a 3-minute commercial comes back and you missed 6 touchdowns. That's not going to be the case. You're going to have, you ever watch, the PJ, what they call, the playthrough commercial? Like, hey, watch Scotty Scheffler tee off, but here is Charles Schwab brokerage, and they play that 30-second clip. We can live that. We just don't want to see a true commercial break from Scott Hanson and the boys. You're not going to get that. So if you have the quad box and one of those boxes is showing a Whopper commercial, that's the new world we're living in. But as soon as you hear commercials, when Scott Hanson used to say 7 hours of commercial-free football, that's now gone, Joe.
No, now it's just 7 hours of football is what you're going to get. And you're right, Donnie. I mean, and people forget, and this should be, it's so funny because everyone is screaming and yelling, but what they don't remember is that they did it last year, guys. They had the double box format all throughout the red zone game. And most of us who are watching it, or you're out at a restaurant or a bar or something, and you're at a sports bar and you're watching it, Donnie, right? You have
Yeah.
no idea what's going on there. Like they split the screen, they do that. They did it they started doing it in NASCAR years ago. And then all the other sports kind of, Scotty said the PGA Tour, you're never not without the games. The only thing is you'll be without the audio because the audio will be about the ad and not the game. But at that point, most people usually watch the Red Zone with the sound off because they're usually out somewhere.
Yeah, and also with the red zone too, it's like, it's a great format to have, but even it used to be greater when not everybody had the ticket in their house. Like I remember having cable and also having to get the dish for direct TV. Most people are like, well, I'm not going to spend on that. And the red zone came in key. And the red zone's fantastic. Like if you just want to get in and say, let me pop that on. My team's not playing at 1:00. I just want to watch all the games and watch my fantasy team. It is a great product to have. But now that you can just go on YouTube and get any game you want live and watch whatever you want, it changes the game a little bit. But the NFL, it is a business. It's why tickets show aren't $5 like they were like in 1965. Like tickets are high. That's why when you drive to a game, like, wait a second, I just paid $125 for a ticket. You're telling me I got to pay $40 to park in a public parking spot here to get in? Yes, because they can make more money. Wait a second. There's 2 preseason games, 3 preseason games. Why does my ticket say full price when nobody's going to play? Because they can and because they want the revenue. Same thing here in television. If they could have 3 more commercial breaks during the first hour of a football game, they would do it. Now, granted, that would drive some people away, and away you go there. But the red zone, it's going to have commercials. We'll deal with it. And trust me, by week number 2, you won't even notice it anymore at this point. Just change sometimes. You don't like it. That's changing. Deal with it here. You know what else is changing? The New York Jets offensive line. Vera Tucker's down. That's not a good sign. Entering into the season with a quarterback that you want to be able to make through his progressions and going up against a pass rush heavy defense in the Steelers. Oh boy, Jets, watch out.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is why we can't have nice things, Jet fans, right here. This is exactly example number 1. So this was supposed to be, and I was shocked we got to this point in the season, right? We're like, wow, the shoe hasn't fallen here. Like this has actually been a good thing. And then, of course, we learned yesterday that a triceps injury is now going to put one of the, the anchors of this offensive line for the Jets, which they actually invested in to make it much better this year. It's always been a problem for the Jets, but they have 26-year-old Vera Tucker here, who they had traded for a couple of years ago, and he was a captain. They named him captain. I mean, this was going to be the year, and now he tears his left tricep, which, by the way, in 2022, he missed the rest of the season in October when he tore his right tricep. So at least he knows what the rehab is. I guess maybe if you look at it that way, but that's just a absolute devastation. Much like the Chargers losing, Slater early on. That some guys just, it's not good for the offensive line early on in the season, especially.
Do some of those tricep extensions out there, people. Come on, build up that tricep muscle. You can make it through an NFL season. Here's what we usually hear about. I don't want to play for this team. I want a new contract. I want to be traded. And the NFL team goes, calm down over there. Number 1, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to trade you. And we'll see you week number 1. I'm not going to show up. That's Jacoby Myers, right? He wanted to get traded. He didn't. He wanted a new deal. He doesn't have it. And you know what he's saying? Well, I can't miss that game check. I'll be there game number 1. There goes your leverage for Jacoby Myers. They might be able to work out a deal. He's not happy, but you're never too unhappy to not play in a game and not get a game check.
Yeah, I mean, come on with this, really? Of course you want to get your game. That's all it is. Isn't it amazing, Donnie? Have you seen a sport in which guys change their tune faster than the NFL? Especially, I mean, the threats and the I'm this, I'm that, I'm done, and then all of a sudden you look at the checkbook and you're like, well, all right, maybe I'm not done, Donnie. It happens more so in the NFL than it happens in any other sport, doesn't it?
It does. And you take a look at some players that just have to cave. Like, I want the world. Like, remember Trey Hendrickson? I'm not moving all $40 million a year. Hey, buddy, we'll bump up your salary to $30 million. You'll be a free agent next year. Do you want to miss game checks and get fined? Do you want to play? I'll play. I love it. Can't wait to get back to Cincinnati. Juwan Jennings was like, you better pay me a lot more money. I go, you know what? We're going to give you a little bit more money, but you got to prove it on the field. You're not going to get this money until you absolutely excel on the field. Incentives added to the contract here for Juwan Jennings as they agreed to a deal, and now at least they have a heartbeat at wide receiver.
Yeah, they do. And listen, it's a big incentive based, obviously, bonus, but
Yeah.
given the state of the wide receiver room there, I mean, he was set to make what, 7.5 million, so he can add another
Hmm.
3 million on top of that. He is a free agent next year. So he's in basically one of these prove it years, right, Donnie? Like put up or
Yeah.
shut up. So that kind of motivation with a guy, an extra 3 mil, yeah, a lot can happen here. I like the move by the 49ers because they're basically telling him, all right, we'll give you 3 million, but you're going to have to earn it. And he'll have an opportunity to do that with this wide receiver room.
Exactly. Earning cash here. It's something the owners love to do, printing money here. But also, it seems like we're getting a lot more of these type of moves where the franchises, Joe, worth so much that it's like, I want to have my cake and I want to eat it too. Look at the New York Giants here. They sell a 10% stake in the Giants to the Koch family here. They still run full control, make a ton of money. They get 10% of a multi-billion-dollar organization in your back pocket to spend while you're here alive and enjoy your time. My goodness, man. You want to talk about like real estate investments? Like, hey, always buy real estate, man. Always buy an NFL or professional team. Like, look at all these guys that got in like 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and the franchise is up like 75%. Cashing in tickets here. The Giants did it. The Philadelphia Eagles did it. The San Francisco Giants did it. It's the way to do it. San Francisco 49ers, they all do it. Seems like a thing to do.
So it was funny. Roger Goodell back in 2010 had made a speech in which he said by 2027, the NFL, his projection is, would hit $25 billion in revenue. Now, Donnie, this was in 2010. It was unthinkable,
Yeah.
right? You know how much they made last year? $22.2 billion, which was up 8% from 2023. What do you think it's going to be next year? Unreal.
Goodness, man. Sky is the limit. Every single year, these guys just print money. And
Mm.
you always say, like, when is enough enough? Like, we see food prices going up, right? It's like, hey, I'm not paying more than $10 for that
Yep.
steak. Yeah, it's $25 now. And you know what? You're still buying it. I can't afford to go to these Eagles games or NFL games anymore. Yep, I just renewed my season ticket. It's going to pay $50 to park and $20 for a beer. And I'll be right back next week here. For some reason, we love to say, that's too much money. Here's my money. Take it from me here. And the NFL probably will get that $25 billion. Craziness, as it turns out. Are you ready for some football? Yes, you are tonight. Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys, but that's not what we're talking about just now. We are going to get back to that game and hit it double down style. But before we get there, Friday night, we got some action in Sao Paulo, Brazil. If you watched last year, Joe, it was the Philadelphia Eagles and it was the Green Bay Packers, a battle in the NFC that could provide maybe some bragging rights and also who has the key to the rest of the season by getting that edge by beating the team head-to-head. Philadelphia Eagles won that battle in an ice skating rink here. Big days out of Saquon Barkley in his debut, A.J. Brown. You also take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles defense making a couple stands late in that game. And if you remember, Jordan Love, there's some scariness that they thought he might be down for the season with an injury late in that game. Ended up coming back for the Packers. The Packers made the playoffs, but lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, who are the home team. We got a big battle tomorrow. That is the Chargers and the Chiefs. And if we're looking from a quarterback perspective, you got two good quarterbacks here. Patrick Mahomes, one of the best of all times, going up against Justin Herbert, who's still looking to make his mark by saying, you know what? I can get to the playoffs, and I can win playoff games. If we look at their passing props in Brazil, 240.5 for Patrick Mahomes, 231.5 for Justin Herbert. If we look at the quarterbacks themselves, because I expect more out of Patrick Mahomes this year than I got last year. I expect maybe not a higher tempo offense, but more deep shots down the field. I never know what to expect, though, Joe, out of Justin Herbert. Not because he doesn't have the arm talent. He does. One of the elite arms in the NFL. It's that, what is his coaching staff going to allow him to do, Joe?
Yeah, and that's the big question, right? But the good news is the Chargers and Najee Harris, Harbaugh has said that he is playing. He is ready to go. He didn't see any action in the preseason because of the July 4th incidents, which, by the way, is getting even crazier. Like he refuses to talk about it. He says it's a humbling experience. He's just glad everyone's okay. Meanwhile, he's going to be wearing sunglasses a lot during the season. So, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what happened with that 4th of July incident, but the good news is they will have their full complement of running backs. But I still go back to, I find it very interesting, the approach to this preseason from the Kansas City Chiefs. That starters played, Donnie, significant time in all three of those preseason games getting ready to start here. So maybe the taste in their mouth last year about how things ended They use that as motivation. I don't think we're going to see a sluggish Kansas City offense coming out against this Chargers team. I think there's a reason why we've seen the money, the sharp money especially, on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, by the way, you talk about running backs, right? There's two words that always come up: speed and vision. I mean, what's up with the vision here for Najee? You got to have sunglasses on. Remember, let's even go, we use Rocky references because the Philadelphia Eagles are playing tonight, and you're going to see a lot of Rocky references, noticed tonight on that telecast. But remember when goes to see Mick, he's like, man, I want to get back in the fight game. And Mick's like, slaps him in the side of the face. You didn't even see it coming right there. That's Najee Harris. Well, you're going to see a linebacker that's going to be drilling you, and you didn't even see it coming. My goodness, here at this point. But if we are looking at this game itself, and you say, all right, well, Donnie, set the table for it. Who's the favorite in this game? Well, it's the Kansas City Chiefs by a field goal. The total, 46.5. So it's similar to tonight on that total. Tomorrow, I don't know how I bet this game, Joe, because not being scarred from last year, betting-wise, but just seeing the field was a complete mess. It's almost like I have to get a feel for this game. I want to get the pregame reports because you always know, Joe, the beat reporters are on the field, the sideline reporters. Hey, just talked with Kansas City Chiefs coach Andy Reid. They're worried about, and they brought 17 pairs of shoes tonight to try to make sure they have it right so they don't slip and slide like we did last year. How do you approach this game knowing it was a disaster on the field last year and we're playing in the same field?
Yeah, it is a disaster, but who better to play in conditions to back than the Kansas City Chiefs and Mahomes, who have played in minus 12 degrees, have played in windstorm. It's not exactly sunny South California here, like where the Chargers are playing indoors. So if the elements are an issue, it is absolutely advantage to the Kansas City Chiefs as far as I am concerned. And listen, with the Chiefs, they spent a lot in the offseason figuring out their offensive line issues and protecting Mahomes. You said it. You protect Mahomes and give him time, he's going to eat you alive here. And I think that's really what that game is going to come down to.
Yeah, I do. I expect big things from the Kansas City Chiefs, and it says something about usually you get that hangover when you lose the Super Bowl. Well, that's under a normal franchise. Like, oh, man, it's been 30 years since we got to the Super Bowl. We got there and lost. The Kansas City Chiefs are used to getting the Super Bowl, winning and losing. Nothing new to them. Not as if they're going to have a layoff this year as they try to put a championship run together. The Kansas City Chiefs are the favorites to win the AFC West at a minus 110 price. Broncos plus 280, Chargers plus 340, and the Vegas Raiders at an 11-1 price now as we update some of those numbers. On the move this week as we wait for kickoff. You know what else we're waiting for now? The top of the hour. Let's re-rack it, baby, and let you know the exciting topics and Eagles, Cowboys on deck. Oh, let's get after it here in Philadelphia. Prime time tonight. All the lights will be shining down on Lincoln Financial Field, and 65,000 plus Philadelphia Eagles fans will be cheering on the dropping of banner number 2 and Super Bowl number 2. The funny part is you'll do it in front of the Dallas Cowboys, who haven't had any success since 1995. Hard to believe, or maybe it isn't, where Jerry Jones has told us repeatedly, wait a second. Football's about winning games? I thought it's just about being in the headlines and making a lot of money off the field. Well, that's apparently what the Dallas Cowboys like to do, and they've been very good at that. They're just not very good at winning on the football field in the biggest moments when it means the most here. So when we set the table for tonight's NFL game in Philadelphia to kick off the season, we actually got a little bit of line movement out here, Joe, as we were talking about the 8.5s across the betting landscape. DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365, even in Vegas. 8.5s to 8s were across the board. I just saw DraftKings here in New Jersey go to 7.5 at a minus 115 price. The total's still sitting at 47.5. But do we see buybacks here, Joe, on game day where it says, whoa, 8.5 is a little bit too much?
Absolutely. I mean, that was so artificially inflated over the last couple of days. Mind you that prior to the Micah Parsons trade, it was down to 6.5. Now we're talking about, so they trade Micah Parsons, but they get a absolute, 3-time Pro Bowler run stuffer in the middle of the line now to help them do Cowboys exactly what they couldn't do last year, which was stop the run. And somehow it's worth, 2 points? Like 8.5 was a ridiculous number for game one, especially with the likes of Ferguson and CeeDee Lamb and now Pickens and Dak. Everybody's healthy on the offense of the Cowboys. It does not. This will close, Donnie, 7.5, maybe even closer to 7 is my prediction when it's all said and done.
Buybacks, people. If we take a look here, the 47.5 is the total in this game. Conditions to start the game, mostly cloudy, giving way to drizzle in the 10 o'clock hour is a possibility. Not really that big of a deal. You take a look at the wind speeds tonight, Joe. Starts around 10 miles an hour, tapers off to 7 to 6 miles an hour late in that game. So no real conditions that you worry about. And quite frankly, mid 70s to low 70s throughout the game. That's good for opening night. Like, you worry about those conditions on like Sunday afternoon in September where it's so hot and guys cramp up a lot. We'll see if that makes a difference. But for me, looking at these numbers, I don't think we have too many problems with that total here. That 47.5 is interesting to me. So again, the public does like to bet overs. We understand that. But that line sits down at 47.5. At game time, Joe, do we push that higher to 48, or could we see any buybacks to 46.5 back where that opening number began?
Donnie, I didn't understand how we got to 8.5 and the
Yep.
total didn't move. It didn't make any sense to me, but now we're starting to see, obviously, that come back down to reality. And yeah, I don't know that I can honestly sweat out an under in this game here, but I can tell you, I think there's a couple other ways to go about this game if you think one team or the other is going to hang around. I think if you think this is a blowout by Philadelphia, well, then you're probably looking at the under because Dallas will not be able to contribute enough. But if you think Dallas can keep this thing close, I don't see how they're going to keep it close in a 20-17 game, Donnie. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and also from a Philadelphia Eagles perspective, where they're healthy coming into the season, but you see a couple different tactics of how these teams start to approach these new, preseasons into the regular season. Cincinnati never liked to play their starters, getting out the sluggish, slow starts. They said, that's enough. We're going to play our starters a good portion here in games 1, 2, and 3. And maybe they're a better team because of it. They didn't suffer any injuries. Nobody's actually on the injury report for Cincinnati. But the Philadelphia Eagles, Devontae Smith had a little bit of back issues during training camp. A.J. Brown missed like 3 weeks with a hamstring injury. Didn't see Saquon Barkley or Jalen Hurts. Now you're expected to perform. Now also understand this. They're professionals playing at the highest level. They've been there, done that. They've been going through hundreds of hours of practice. They should be ready for the game. But nothing, Joe, can simulate like being in a football game on opening night with all the lights and the TV and the adulation coming down. I wonder if that is starting to a slow start or maybe a fresh start. Let's look at the quarterback competition tonight between Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott. Dak didn't play much football last year against the Philadelphia Eagles as the Eagles hammered them. But you took a Jalen Hurts, a 212.5 passing number versus Dak Prescott's 248.5. It does make sense. The ground game is there for the Eagles. I don't think the ground game is going to be all that effective for the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe just keeping the Eagles pass rush at bay for most parts of it. But which type of quarterback props would you like to play tonight? Rushing numbers we went over early in the show, passing numbers for a quarterback, passing touchdowns for a quarterback. Which way do you think you're going on that?
Yeah, so that's the interesting one, Donnie. And again, everything correlates here. Don't bet against yourself in the prop betting market to go against what you think the outcome of this game is going to be. But, I'm looking at some of the numbers here for the passing touchdowns, right? And listen, from a Philadelphia perspective, if I like Devonta Smith, if I like A.J. Brown, if I like these guys to find the end zone, well, then over 1.5, I believe, passing touchdowns for Jalen Hurts is still plus money. And that would not shock me if that's the case here, where maybe Dallas sells out on the run to stop it, and that gives him an opportunity to find some open guys in the end zone. So, yeah, I don't mind the over 1.5 touchdowns for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, we're looking at some of these totals in this game, too, because it's 47.5. Team totals on each side. I mean, don't make it too appetizing for the Eagles. It's 28.5 right now, minus 118 at FanDuel, which means you're probably looking at 30-plus points. That's 4 touchdowns and a field goal. Can they get there? Sure they can. They've done that multiple times last year. Looking at the Dallas Cowboys, they're 19.5 at a minus 115 price at the FanDuel Sportsbook, so you're factoring on 3 touchdowns out of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm just interested to see, like, the game flow, because sometimes, Joe, where you don't quite necessarily know what you're going to get out of either side. Now, they are healthy. They're ready to go, and Saquon Barkley could have a 55-yard touchdown run on the opening possession, and away they go. But for me, this could be one of those where you might escape in that first quarter, 3-0. Like, whoa, look how far this total is down now, knowing that eventually these guys are going to get untracked on both sides.
And if memory serves me correctly, like one of the better bets for Philadelphia last year was, I believe, the first quarter. I believe the first quarter they came out, or the second quarter.
Yeah.
There was one quarter in the first half in which they just absolutely dominated across the board. So if you think that that trend holds true, maybe look early for Philadelphia in this one.
Building an early lead, like what would be the shocker? Like the Cowboys up 14-3. We've seen crazy things happen across the sports landscape, particularly in the NFL early in the season. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But you know what? We're gonna hit all those angles from a prop perspective. Running backs, wide receivers. What do we think happens in this game? Much more on the Eagles Cowboys coming up next, right here on the early line. Props, and more props. The early line on the Sports Grid Network. Donnie Rightside and Joe Raineri breaking down the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles to open up the NFL season tonight. And some of those props that we love are the touchdown scoring market. Joe, Saquon Barkley, he's up to a -210 price. Jalen Hurts, he's a -165 price. Those are the only two players tonight in juice territory. Everybody else is plus money. So let's just start there with the juicy guys. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. I think they both scored, Joe. I do.
Say, Donnie, it's kind of hard. The tush push is in effect, right?
Yes.
So just answer yourself this. Do you think the tush push is involved in this game tonight at the 1 or 2 yard line? If the answer is yes, it's a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. So let's just move on from that. Kind of hard to think that we won't see Saquon involved in this game in some sort of a big way here. So, yeah, if you think Philadelphia controls time of possession and is all about the ground game here tonight, then those are the only two guys I would look at in the prop betting market here tonight.
I'll tell you, it's so, because you say, like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, but let's understand how this game plays out. And let's just say the Philadelphia Eagles are in the mid-20s, right, which means 3 touchdowns. I think A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, we'll get to them in just a moment. One of those two guys scores a touchdown. I'll explain my theory on that. But, like, the Philadelphia Eagles on the 2 yard line, they are going to tush push. And the fact of the offseason where you're on a primetime game where they tried to get rid of it, they would love nothing more to probably score 4 times with a tush push tonight, just to rub it in the face of the other teams and the NFL. But understand this, too. Like, Saquon Barkley getting a handoff at the 9 yard line, fresh to start the season against not a great defense, Joe. Like, it just feels like they both will score. But again, you're not getting any plus money prices for a touchdown. It makes it hard to bet. You now take a look at A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. A.J. Brown is a plus 155 and Devonta Smith is a plus 180. So I look at it saying, okay, if you think both Barkley and Hurts score, I think there's a chance that A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith both score, but there's only so many touchdowns to go around. So if I ask you, Joe, I think we're going to get 1 touchdown pass out of starting quarterback Jalen Hurts, which I think he has a chance to throw 2. One of those 2 guys is getting it. And you're just playing the odds saying, okay, well, if Devontae gets it, it's plus 180. Well, if A.J. Brown gets it, it's plus 155. You just need one of those 2 guys to get a touchdown. It's plus money. I think one of those 2 guys is going to get a touchdown tonight.
Yeah, and I got, another thing, too. We got to keep in mind, we do have a new OC in Philadelphia. Although he was part of the staff last year, he is new in calling plays for this team this year. So I think, I was looking in this market, Donnie, and I'm trying to figure out if I think this game is pretty much crazy at halftime and Dallas is playing from behind. Well, then how about A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith early in this game? Like A.J. Brown first half touchdown, because apparently he was targeted a hell of a lot more early in games last year than he was in the second half. So they kind of used him as the guy to get out in front and play their game early. And then they kind of coasted with the running game in the second half. So those kinds of passing props may be best in the first half, Donnie.
We know it's hard to get 2,000 yards rushing in an NFL season. Not that many people have done that. And Saquon Barkley did it last year. Now you're saying, what can he do this year? Rested, healthy, ready, destroyed the Dallas Cowboys last time he played them last year. There's no direct correlation, but did have a great success. Almost was looking to break the record in that game. Saquon's 93.5. You know as well as I do. Saquon's going to carry the football at least 20 times in this game. Does he get shut down? Like, hey, Kenny Clark's coming over. He's a good run defender. It doesn't matter. Like, that Eagles offensive line is nasty. They're expected to have the lead, which means extra running chances in the fourth quarter, which you saw so many times Saquon breaking long runs. How about his 93.5? How do we play that prop?
I don't mind that at all. And I would correlate that, Donnie, to his rushing attempts, 18.5. I'll take over. He averaged 22 a game last year in the regular season. As a matter of fact, he got at least 19 or more in 12 of his last 14 games, including the run through the Super Bowl. So The Eagles being more than a touchdown favorite tells you they're likely playing from in front in this game. And if that's the case, Saquon left, Saquon right, Donnie, right? Give me the rushing attempts up and over here.
I did this quite a bit last year, Joe, and had some fun. Kenneth Gainwell is no longer with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was the backup running back. But you got to figure there's going to be like 2 to 3 of those carries. Will Shipley is a 12.5. Like, if this game gets out of hand in the fourth quarter, where the Eagles have like a 14-point lead, he's probably going to have 3 to 4 carries possibly in this game. Just need him to get a couple yards. And he showed in that junk time performances last year that he's able to get some of those yards. We'll see if it blows out. But I can't wait. Tonight, we're so close, people. It's Cowboys, it's Eagles. We're covering it. We're doing it all on the Sports Grid Network. It's Joe and Donnie. We'll be back after this short break. Right back at it. What an awesome Thursday it's been. The energy has been extremely high. And why not? It's a kickoff to the NFL season. It's how we get down on the Sports Grid Network. It's Donnie Rightside and it's Joe Raineri. The early line's what we do. Monday through Friday. You know the drill, people. It's the place to be to get your morning started. I think we do a pretty good job at doing that. But also, it's not just me and Joe talking. We like to reach out to the public at this time in the show and say, you know what, public? Which way are you going today? Go to X, follow our account at SportsGrid. We asked a simple question today because you know you're going to be geeked up on the NFL. What is your best bet tonight in Eagles versus Cowboys? Over, under, Eagles as a favorite, Cowboys as a dog. Pretty even slate, Joe. 33% said Eagles minus 8.5. 30% said Cowboys plus 8.5. 22% said over 47.5. Under at 15.2%, Joe. Looks good out here. And by the way, you know me, I voted for the Eagles minus 8.5. Blowout style tonight, Joe. Which way did you go in the poll?
Yeah, can't do that, Donnie. Can't side with the public in week one. Not gonna happen. Although they were extremely profitable last year, I think this year is a different year. I'm gonna go with the total, Donnie, because I don't see. I think if the Cowboys are gonna keep this within 8.5, this thing is getting closer to 50 or more points than anything else. So I have no problem. I think the offenses will have some success here tonight. Both of the defenses, they have some warts. They've got some things that can be exposed by both offenses, and I think that's what we get tonight. I think we get a ton of points.
I'm going to keep it simple. We're going to go to the NFL tonight. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, you say to yourself, I have Jalen Hurts, who if that ball's inside the 3-yard line, that's a rushing touchdown for him. And I have Saquon Barkley. If we're outside of the 3-yard line, anywhere on the field, that could be a home run target here. So I'm going to keep it simple. Bet 365 today is where I went. You know what, Joe? Eagles rushing touchdowns as a team over 1.5, listed at a minus 140 price. If the Eagles are expected by their team total to be around 28 points, that's 4 touchdowns. So that means 2 in the air and 2 on the ground. It just makes sense. Don't, oh no, split it up, Donnie. Take, Saquon Barkley or take them both. Take them both. 2 rushing touchdowns out of Saquon Barkley. That cashes that ticket. 2 rushing touchdowns out of Jalen Hurts. That cashes that ticket. 1 apiece. It doesn't matter. How about a reverse to A.J. Brown as a rushing touchdown? That also counts as well. That's where I'm going tonight. Rushing touchdowns from the Philadelphia Eagles, Joe. How about that?